And we are live. We're live. And so I got a great guest for you guys, by the way. Welcome to 2022 and Games Talk Live, I guess. Got a great guest, but before I get into the guest, I just want to say that, this podcast, you can listen to it anywhere, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and it's all there right at your fingertips, on your devices and stuff, or your toes, or whatever appendage you want to use. I don't care. It's none of my business, but anyway, it's out there. Okay, and all the streaming services, all the platforms. Anyways, I've got Mav from Fun Speculation here. The ultimate Xbox podcast, the Fun Speculation podcast, his YouTube channel. I think Fun Speculation now is just, I think they're on the verge of getting bigger and bigger here. I really do. I think I like what you guys are doing over there at Fun Speculation, Mav. You're talking games. You're being real. I love it. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, dude. I was super honored to have you ask me to be on the show. Since you started it, it's been doing absolutely amazing. You got great guests every week, dude. No, seriously though, man, I really enjoy watching it. I put a lot of work into it, and just like you said, being real, that's one of my favorite things. Always been about you. Since I started learning about different people in the community and kind of really getting watching different shows and stuff. The one thing that I can always say about Fonz, whether you like his opinion or not, is it's a real actual thought that comes from his mind, which is
actual thought.
Yes, which is
likewise
good
too.
to
Likewise,
that,
Mav.
Thanks,
Honestly, you do the same thing, and that's why I wanted to have you on the show today. I was thinking about guests, and I was like, you know what? First up in 2022, Mav. So I'm glad to have you here, and so let's talk about you a bit here, Mav. No. You know what? Let's not just talk about you, Mav. Last week, I had Asa on, okay, from Game On Daily, and we were going through the show, and everything was like going great. And at the very end of the show, I realized I didn't do something with him. And that, of course, was 5 questions. It was the trivia I do. And I vowed next week, as I intended it to be, the very first thing we do with a guest would be 5 questions. So that's what we're going to do now.
5 questions.
Yep, it's time. I know you didn't expect to hit you right away with this.
I was expecting it later, like Asa, because I was watching. Asa did pretty horribly as well. So I think he got 2 right, if I remember. I'm a little nervous. I've been telling people I've been nervous about this, so we're gonna see how it goes, Fonz.
I really hope you do well, but I will warn you, there are some hard ones here.
Okay.
There are. All right. Well, first, you've got I've got a super chat here, so you have a little escape here for just a moment from Brigadier's Blue. $4.99 says, "Happy New Year's. Wish I could stay and chat, but work won't let me. I'll definitely catch the show afterwards, though. Keep up the great work, Fonz. I appreciate you. Blue. Honestly, great supporter. He always comes in and says that. Like, I can't stay, but, I just want to say hi, and I'm going to watch the show later, and I appreciate it, Blue, because I know he will. He always does. He's a great supporter. Anyways, let's get on to these questions, shall we?
Let's do it.
All right. First question. Name the character that is described as Sonic's friendly nemesis.
Knuckles.
What? Oh, you're right. And I forgot the ding. I almost gave you a totally different thing there. There you go. There's the ding.
Oof.
You got one right. All right.
As long as I got one right, I'm tied with Asa, apparently, so that's okay.
Well, Asa did horribly. Asa didn't even know what... Well, he knew Sam Fisher, but he didn't really play Splinter Cell, and I couldn't believe that.
Well, that's the thing about Asa. He hates stealth games.
I do too, normally. I hate stealth games, but I love Splinter Cell. It's a different case for Splinter Cell. I don't know why, but it is. What happens in the beginning of Halo 2 that ends the award ceremony?
Oh, the Covenant attack the ship.
Yes! You got it right. 2. You got 2. Look at that.
Oh, that was easy. Well. These are easy, man.
Oh, really? Okay. So here's one. How many Call of Duty games are there in the main series?
Oh, in the main series. Okay, so what do you... Okay, so We got Call of Duty, Call of Duty 2, Call of Duty 3,
There's
Call of Duty 4,
there's a lot.
Call of Duty
You'll be
Ghost,
surprised.
Call of Duty Advanced Warfighter, Call of Duty World War II, Call of Duty. Oh shoot, I'm forgetting all the Black Ops games. Oh my gosh, Black Ops.
Yeah, this is
Black Ops 2,
online
Black Ops
too.
2.
So, but you can't cheat.
Okay, yeah. I'm gonna take a stab and say 14.
19.
19.
19 Call of Duty games. Mainline Call of Duty games. 19.
You know, there's
Look it
been
up.
one every year since what, like 20?
It's insane how many
Since
19 how many games there are.
02?
But hey, that's only one
I don't
question you got wrong. But see, that's what happens when you get like cocky and you're like, these are easy. I'm gonna get these. Yeah. Not feeling so good now, are you, Mav?
No, that was tough, man.
That was tough. All right. What year did Xbox discontinue the Kinect? What year did it finally go away?
Okay, so
Completely.
oh man, this was in the middle of the Xbox One generation, and it was after Phil took over, and I think it was like 3 or 4 years into Xbox One. So I'm gonna say around 2017.
Correct. Whoa, look at you, man. That
Let's
was
go.
really good. That was good, man. I'm glad you got that one. All-time favorite gaming experience.
Okay, all-time favorite gaming experience. Both involve my wife. One of them happened this past year playing It Takes Two with her.
I hear that a lot. I hear it a lot.
It was amazing, like going through all that. But I got to go back to really kicking off and playing Halo 2 with her a lot, because that's when we really started like bonding over a console game. You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
Playing games together. She was really had been playing a lot of Sims and stuff on PC at the time, and had never really been super into console except when she was really little. So then going into playing Halo 2, I got her into playing some multiplayer, and she just got better and better and better, and she started to really love it. And then I remember when like they introduced team doubles, right,
Mm-hmm.
into a Halo 2 playlist. You really got into that, and we just played that all the time.
That's
So I would say
awesome.
playing Halo 2 with my wife for sure.
That is awesome, man. I like that. I'm going to accept that. I like that. So you look at that, man. You only missed one.
Yeah,
And
that
you were
was
worried
man,
about
that was
it.
a hard one. That was a hard one, dude. Okay.
Yeah, but
I feel better now.
Oh, man. Asa, wherever you're at, if you're listening to this at all, Gaz, you're in the chat. Tell Asa he's a loser compared to Mav here. Mav knew his stuff. Anyways, no, Asa's a great
I was
guy.
yelling at my screen last week when he was answering those Splinter Cell questions. You know?
Yeah, I bet. So let's go ahead and talk about you a minute here, Mav. So let's go all the way back. I want your origin story into gaming. Let's go back to baby Mav. Okay, maybe not baby Mav, but young Mav, because baby Mav probably has, tiny little hands and fingers. He couldn't control them. So young Mav, where did you start in this whole gaming scene?
Well, we can start with baby Mav, because I was born with
Mav.
with an Intellivision in the house, right?
Ooh, that's
So
hey,
if you
that's
want to
nice.
say
That's
about
classic.
hard to control, the one thing about the Intellivision was it had pictures, right, that you could hit for the buttons. So it was easy to learn even as a young kid. So I remember playing Burger Time and Snafu, Utopia, Frog Bog, all that stuff on the Intellivision.
So baby Mav, it started at baby Mav.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, I've always loved video games. Like, my brother and sister were into them as well, and they were way older than me. Like, my brother's 6 years older, and my sister's 8 years older than me.
Well,
So
if you were
they
baby Mav, they couldn't be younger, because then it would be.
That's true.
Yeah,
I'm the baby of the family.
Womb baby, or who knows. Anyways, let's get on with this. So you started at the Intellivision, basically.
Yep. That's my earliest memories is playing the television. And then my brother, because he's older.
What year are we talking? What year?
I was born in '83, so I was playing probably at the age of three or four. Like,
dang.
As soon as that you could hold
Mav.
up a controller.
Let me just say, you don't look that old, man. You don't look that old.
Yeah, I'm 38 now.
Yeah, you don't look it. Yeah, good.
Thanks. It's my chubby, youthful skin.
Yeah, it's that baby Mav skin. You still got it. So the Intellivision, and then what did you graduate to?
So next was a
It's
Sega
toddler
Master
math,
System.
you know?
Yeah,
Toddler
this is the
math.
Sega Master System, and the cool thing about this was, it had games like Double Dragon and stuff on it, you know. And me and my brother played that all the time. We played like football, Double Dragon. I remember Alf
Oh,
was
Double
on
Dragon was
there.
great.
Yeah, they had that like Safari game because it came with the light gun, and all that stuff. So
I don't remember
that was
that.
the next console. I would have chosen the NES, which a lot of my friends had at the time. So I went and played on the NES at a lot of their houses, but we had the Master System, which was a lot of fun. Um,
Oh, you had the
and then
Master System as well. See, I
yeah,
didn't get the Master System. I had the NES at the time, but my best friend had a Master System. So we used to play at each other's house all the
yeah.
time. So it
What
was
did you
great fun.
like? What did you like better?
I liked them both. I didn't have a
Yeah,
preference, man.
there was
There
no
was
console wars back
no.
then.
Well, the only time it ever came up was during like the 16-bit generation. It was the
Yeah,
whole, your Mortal Kombat doesn't have blood, mine does, that sort of thing. Like
right.
it
Yeah.
wasn't.
Did you get into schoolyard fights at the playground, like
Not at
yelling
all.
across the
Not
way with
not not
with your
at
two
all. No,
crews
no,
of
no.
kids and saying, "Hey,
Yeah, I didn't aim for the
Master
head,
System
and
has no games."
yeah, I didn't aim for the head in dodgeball because he had an Xbox, not an Xbox, but a Genesis. No,
Yeah.
none of that.
Okay.
So, but yeah, so
That's good.
you got a Nintendo or sorry, a Genesis, Master System, and a
Master System,
Genesis.
yeah. So the next, actually, after the Master System was the SNES. I got that for my
Oh, you
ninth
did.
birthday. Yeah.
Wow, so you switched sides.
Yeah, well, I always wanted
You flip flopper, Mav.
dude, I was a flip flopper. I didn't ever get a Genesis because it was like we were a one console family. It's just whatever what we got, that's what we had, you know. And but luckily was able to move through the generations still. You know, it involved
Yeah.
usually selling what you had, you know, and the games and stuff to be able to help get the new one. But it always happened. So the next step up for us was the SNES, which was amazing. Super Mario World, um, lots of freaking amazing games back on the SNES
Yeah.
those days. So,
I like that comment, by the way, from Lord Roughness. Master System has no games.
yeah,
It
that
had
was
games, sir. It had games.
the
You know what
funny
I
thing
liked
is,
back then? Did you play
yeah,
Rambo on the Master System? They
I
had
dude, I
Rambo.
played, I probably did, but I was
Yeah.
so young that I can't remember a lot of the stuff. I remember the ones that like stood out the
Alex
most. To me.
Kidd and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, R-Type. My brother
R-Type.
loved
Yeah.
R-Type.
Yeah.
So we played a lot of R-Type, and I always was trying to like play the things my brother was into because I wanted to either be as good as him or beat him, right?
Smart.
But I wasn't, you know, I wasn't good enough yet. So
Yeah. You weren't good enough. So toddler Mav wasn't good enough. Preteen Mav wasn't good enough. But when did you get better? When did you get really good at games and then you just kicked your brother's butt?
that was probably in the either the PS2 or original Xbox. Well, it has to be the PS2 era because you know, people get older, they move out, right? So
Yeah.
when the
Yeah.
original Xbox came out, my brother didn't live this anymore, but
Yeah.
it
You
did with
kicked
the
them out.
PS2.
I get
Yeah,
it. I'm good with that.
yeah. So PS2, like I was really into it. Dreamcast also. PS1. You know, I there's so many games. I remember playing Resident Evil with my brother actually, and
Great
we would
game.
like take turns, dude. And we were playing it late at night. It was storming outside, and lightning was striking and stuff. And back then, that was like an immersive, scary experience
I
playing
like how
Resident
you
Evil.
set that up. It was lightning outside, and
It
we were
was.
playing
It was
Resident
crazy.
Evil. Yeah.
I remember it to this day. There's another game back then called D on the PS1 that was like that, and
D.
another one called Clock Tower.
I remember Clock Tower. I don't remember D. Don't
Yeah,
remember that one.
D was like is kind of like Resident Evil, but it was like vampires.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of like that Silent Hill
It's
/ Resident Evil game. You know?
probably not as good, right?
No, but it was still
No.
memorable. Like I remember having a great time with that game, but not like
You-
Resident Evil.
Do you remember the control scheme for Resident Evil? The mechanics. It was so bad.
Oh yeah,
It
but
was so
see
bad, but it was so good.
it gave you this tension though that you don't get in the games today. Really,
Of course.
I would say Resident Evil 7 was kind of close to replicating that, but Resident Evil 7 does it more with like you don't know who's going to be around the corner with jump scare type stuff. But like Resident Evil 1, the original, when you're playing that way, it was like when you open the door, you don't know what's on the other side every time. and it
Yeah.
had this it's just this exploration element that I think is really cool to go back to, and I think they replicated it pretty well in some of these newer Resident Evil remakes and stuff. But man, it
Yeah.
was still classic. I actually kind of prefer the how hamstrung you were with the controls because it made you feel very vulnerable,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That otherwise would have been easy because the zombies are slow.
Yeah, they were. So okay. So growing up, you had pretty much best of both worlds when it came to Nintendo and Sega.
Yeah,
Would you say? Did you
yeah.
did you ever have the Dreamcast?
Dreamcast is one of my favorite consoles of all time.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
is my favorite console of all time, hands down. It just to me it was so ahead of its time. It was just an amazing console. Had great games. The downfall of Sega was really sad in the
yeah.
console space because
I was very sad as well.
I was a big fan of Sega, huge fan, and Dreamcast was definitely my favorite console. Uh, I just liked everything about it, man. The form factor, the look, the games, the online connectivity. It was like the first of its kind that
Yep.
really like took advantage of that. Like yeah, and I played my NFL 2K5 in stop motion animation because the lag was so bad. Everybody had dial up back then, but I didn't care.
Mhm.
I was online, damn it. I was typing to these guys talking mess. And we played things like Fantasy Star Online as well. That was
Yep.
another one. It was a great time. Yeah. So Dreamcast, one of your favorites. Then what did you move into after that era?
After that was Xbox.
Xbox.
OG Xbox, and that was because my friends brought over an Xbox because I'd heard about it. I'd heard about Halo, but I was so into my at the time into my PS2
Yeah.
because after the Dreamcast kind of died, I still had my Dreamcast and my PS2, and I kind of switched between the two, right?
Yeah.
By the way, speaking of Dreamcast, did you ever play Tokyo Extreme Racer?
No, I didn't.
That is one of the like best racing games of freaking all
Really?
time.
Really.
Yeah.
I
The
wasn't a huge racing fan, but I'll tell you what. I did get a whole setup, racing wheel, everything for Gran Turismo 2 on
oh
the
yeah.
PlayStation 2.
That's another those first few Gran Turismo games, man, freaking love them. For the first Gran Turismo, I feel like a lot of racing games today can learn a lot if they just go back in time and
Yeah.
look at some of these older games and how they did career modes and stuff like that, and to give you that sense of progression. You
Yep.
know what I mean? And that grind aspect. But yeah, moved into the Xbox, and my because my friends had brought over Halo, and we started playing split screen. And
Mhm.
then another one got an Xbox, and then I got an Xbox, and then we started hooking them all up throughout the house. So we had like 3 TVs hooked
Yeah.
up with
LAN
cables running
parties.
everywhere to play. Yeah, and it was amazing, dude. It got me so into Xbox, and that really changed everything for me at that point. And you want to say like when I really got good and really got interested, I started playing really like for a while, really hardcore competitively,
Yeah.
not like in the actual like tournament scene or whatever, but like online when Halo 2 dropped and we got Xbox Live. I mean, we were playing like 7, 8 hours a night and nonstop every day with the same group of like four
I
people,
I did the same thing. When Xbox Live was pretty brand new, I was playing Ghost Recon, the original, and
Mhm.
loved it. And I actually went into tournaments and stuff with a group of friends of mine, and we used to play all the time. We used to make up these tournaments. We used to go to this website, and there used to be tournament brackets. You play against this team
Yeah,
this
like clan
Wednesday night.
battles.
Clan
Like,
battles,
yes,
basically,
I
that's
did
what it
that
was.
too.
And we had our own clan, and it was actually uh, named after my old gamer tag, which I still have, by the way. I
Oh,
still
yeah?
have two.
Nice.
Yeah, Burt Reynolds, by the way. That was my gamer tag.
Yeah.
Uh, Still is. I'm keeping that. I'm never letting it go. So I have two accounts. But Burt Reynolds,
Nice.
yeah, I used to fight under that name, and it was so funny because people would be like, because we'd have open lobbies and stuff, and you hear people going, "Man, Burt Reynolds just killed me," and they'd get all
Mhm.
pissed off, and it was just funny. And I'd get some people going, "Are you the real Burt Reynolds?" No, 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 just no.
You
But
should have just ran with it, Fonz.
sometimes I do. Sometimes I
Yeah.
did. I was just like, "Yeah, it's me," and they would just be
Um,
like, "Oh,
the funny
"Wow."
thing is, because you say that,
Yeah,
like,
it's
the Burt
weird.
Reynolds thing, I remember playing, before on Halo CE, playing
Yeah.
on Xbox Connect, right? Which was like a way of playing online back then. It was like another site before Xbox Live was there, so you could play like Halo 1 online. And there was this guy. I remember this one match. Like his name was Bob Saget,
Oh,
and
wow.
he was
Yeah.
really good. So we all just kept getting annihilated by Bob Saget. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it still rings in my brain.
It's funny. This isn't that long ago, but when Destiny first launched, last generation, early on, I remember I was playing Destiny with a friend, and we were in the tower together, and we were getting some stuff, and all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, he goes, "Hey, Fonz, there goes your friend," and I go, "Who?" And I look, my character turns around, and I'm looking at the guy, and the guy walks by, and he has the name The Real Gosling. And we just started cracking up like, "Ryan, is that you?" We're just messing with him.
That's
But it
funny,
was
man.
funny. Yeah, it was funny. But people come up with some creative names. And back then, I just, Xbox Live, I was on in the beta, and I didn't know
Mhm.
what to name my, gamer tag or anything. It was all kind of new. I
Yeah.
was like, I don't want to put my real name out there. So I don't know. I'll be Burt Reynolds. Screw it.
That's a clever name, man.
Yeah.
Like
And
do
it
you want
was
to know what
funny.
my clan battles name was?
What?
So I had a clan battles tag or our clan or whatever, and it was for Ghost Recon also because people don't remember this. Before Halo 3 came out on the 360, that was the main game people played was Graw, right?
Yeah.
And so we had clan battles, and the clan's name was Lucid Supremacy. I really thought it was
Wow.
amazing.
And yeah, as a kid, you're like, "Oh my God, we're cool," or young
Yeah,
adult, I should say, at the time, because that's
yeah,
probably what you were
yeah. I was
with the
like 20,
Xbox.
something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I was. Yeah. So anyway, let's fast forward all these years. Baby Mav grew up. He is now grown man, gamer Mav.
Yeah.
So fun speculation, Xbox Ultimate podcast. Uh, how did you start all this? And the cast, like especially with the Xbox Ultimate, it's huge. Did
Yeah.
did it always start this way?
No. See, I had always listened to gaming podcasts, even
Yeah.
going back to like Gamertag Radio,
Oh,
right?
me too. Me too.
With like Danny Pena and that whole
Paris and yeah.
Paris. And Paris came on later, right?
Yeah, he
People don't
came on
remember
later.
that.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
did.
And I remember listening to them a lot, right? I downloaded the episodes and put it on my Zune.
Oh,
No
wow,
joke.
your Zune.
Yeah, my
You
Zune.
had
No
one of
joke.
those, huh? Yeah,
Yeah. So
I
yeah,
didn't, for
I
the
really
record.
liked seeing that the gaming was growing and people were doing this like show thing with podcasting. I had listened to podcasts for years, and mainly like the mainline ones. I didn't really know about the YouTube scene, right? So I had listened to Gamertag
Yep.
Radio
That was
and
my
like
very first podcast I listened to was Gamertag.
was it? Yeah,
Yep.
me too, 100%. And he's actually in the podcasting Hall of Fame now, right?
Yeah, it's
Um,
crazy, man. And they started
so
on Xbox, by the way.
yep,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, that's why it's called Gamertag Radio. So uh listen to them. I listened to like a podcast Unlocked. I listened to podcast Beyond.
Yeah, me
The
too.
Game Trailers crew had when they got disbanded from GameTrailers.com and they formed Easy Allies. I listened to them a lot.
Yep.
And I'm growing up. I was really into sports. I'm a big sports nut, right? And my family always was like, because that's all I do was talk about this stuff to them, right?
Yeah.
If somebody at a family event or something brings up sports or brings up video games, which none of them can carry a conversation with me with video games, so it's almost like irrelevant to even bring it
Yeah,
up,
you
right?
might as well not, yeah.
But like sports wise, they could somewhat, and I would get engaged in these conversations just like nonstop talking, right? Nonstop talking about sports and stuff, and they were always like, "You just need to be on the radio, you need to be sports casting, all this stuff." And even at a young age, my dad kind of said that's what I should do. My family said that that's kind of the stuff I should do, but I was always too chicken to ever try and do anything like that, right? But sports is actually my like it's lower passion for me other than gaming and stuff like that. So I one day after like COVID became a thing and I'm listening to uh YouTube more, right?
Mhm.
I'm like and I see like RDX with you guys and I see Xbox 2 and I'm like, wow, these are just regular guys
Yep.
that are gamers that have found an audience and for their passion in talking about games. And I had been listening to all those other podcasts for years. I was like, you know what, maybe I can do that. So I was like, I'm just gonna try it. I have no idea what the hell I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna like kick the fear of being on camera because I was always a clown with family and stuff. At family events, I'm always joking around, being crazy. I'll do whatever. I'm one of those guys who'll do whatever. But you at the time you'd put a camera in front of me.
You'll
I
shy
shut
up.
I
Yeah.
shut down. I
Yeah.
shut down or around people I don't know.
I
Right?
was the same way. I was the same
Yeah.
way. Yeah.
So it was like a big nervous thing about trying to do something. And uh what I did first is I just got a mic, Blue Yeti mic, and I just started doing like little sound clip jokey things to try and get comfortable with listening back to myself. Right? Because I think
Yeah.
that's the first hurdle is like being comfortable with like showing other people like things that you make or little fun things. So I started doing that and I started getting more comfortable with it. And then like, okay, I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna do a podcast. So I just started it by myself and I just did Xbox Ultimate Podcast. And I thought but if I do it, I want to have a brand behind it.
Hmm.
Right. I want to have a brand behind it that I feel like could stand for something in the long term. Right. So that's where the name Fun Speculation came from because fun implies the fun and positivity of it all. Right.
Yeah.
Like
So
this is
so
what we're
you
all
did.
doing.
You had a missed opportunity. What about the lucid whatever your
Lucid supremacy.
yeah,
Yeah. See, that lucid
that
supremacy,
wouldn't have
I
gone
made
on
that up.
yeah, that's
You think that would've been good? Yeah.
no, no,
Um,
not at all. I just think that would have been funny. I just had to bring that up. But
this is the lucid supremacy.
so how did it grow? How did it go from one to like 30 of you?
Yeah, to 30. So I when I was first doing the show, I was, just recording it. I even had a camcorder, and I would just sit it
Oh
next to me.
boy.
Yeah, and
Wow.
I recorded it, then I put it and I had to do this thing where I clap to get the timing right for the
Oh my
audio
God.
versus
You
the
did all that.
video.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I did all that in that. So I did that for several episodes. Then I ended up getting a decent webcam. Um,
Yeah, shout out to the
yeah, all that
webcam.
stuff.
It's doing good things for you. I like it.
Yeah,
It's nice and clear. It's a good webcam.
yeah, it's not bad. I want to get one of those like really fancy cameras at some point, but
Yeah, I'm
that'll come
using
down the road.
yeah, I'm using a camera or a real camera, but it's my streams are just not good. I don't know what it is. I think it may be some bottleneck in my computer. But anyways,
Yeah.
so now you're doing Fun or Ultimate Xbox podcast and there at Fun Speculation. Now, how did you get your wife involved into that?
Yeah.
Because
So that's how it kind of started with this whole thing with the crew, right? Because I've been doing it by myself, and it's kind of hard to talk for 45 minutes to an hour by
yeah,
yourself, right? I've gotten
of
better at
course.
it, but starting out especially, and I remember people kept asking, "Hey, are you going to do a live show? Are you going to do a live show?" Because I find it strange people are actually listening to me on YouTube, right? And they're starting to give feedback and stuff. They say, "Hey, you should go live. You should go live." So I'm like, "Okay," but I'm extremely nervous to go live. At the time, I think I'd only been a guest on like one or two podcasts, also, so I wasn't
Yeah.
really used to doing the live thing. And I was just like, "Hey, babe, if I go live, I'm gonna need a guest, and I'm afraid to ask anybody because I don't want rejection. I don't want anybody to say no,
Yeah, it
right?
happens. Yeah.
So I'm going to, will you please do it? You know? And
And she's like,
she was already
no. No.
no, she's like, okay. And she's already involved with the channel because she does all the graphics
Yeah.
and stuff for me.
Oh,
And
really? I didn't know that. That's really
yeah.
cool. That's cool, man. It's good stuff.
Yeah, she does all our overlays and all when we have thumbnails, she does all the thumbnails for all the shows and all that stuff.
Nice.
I do the videos, but she makes me assets to use in videos also. So like if you see our intro, all the like names that pop up on the screen and stuff and all that, like she made all those things and I just kind of splice them together.
That's
She's
cool.
has a kind of a background as a grad with graphics and stuff. So I was like, hey, please be the guest, you know. So we had our first show together and it was just me and her. And it was our
Yeah.
first live show. And people seemed to like it, you know. So we just kept it going. The next episode, I think we had 3-Bit and Lupa on. Because I
Great
had
people.
met 3-Bit doing Next Gen Squad podcast with Mads Gaming,
Yeah,
right?
Mads is cool
And
too. All good people in the community right there.
mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, and we'd only done a couple episodes of that. and I met him, and he was just a cool guy, and so he hopped on, and Lupa hopped on, and it just kind of got organically became
Just
really
grew.
good friends with a lot of people in the community,
Yeah.
and there's certain people you just really click with. You know what I mean? They kind of become family, and it just grew organically. Like we just added Jasper uh, gaming to the crew now. So people have
So
lives.
you got
People can't
31 now.
always
I
be
like
there.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, and we got
31.
8, so we can't come up with a name for 8. It was Magnificent 7. I don't know what it's going to be now. It's going to
How
be
about 8 is enough? How about that?
that's a good one,
8
Fonz.
is enough. Yeah.
8 is enough. I like that.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what we'll do.
Because that's how many kids I had.
Yeah.
8.
Gaming
8 is
together is
enough.
really what happened. Like gaming together, having conversations. That's how we started
Yeah,
Fun Pop.
and it works because you know why it works? Because you're all friends.
Yes.
It's you could tell when you listen to a podcast where certain people aren't friends on the podcast or the
Yes.
chemistry just isn't there. And
Mhm.
that's what makes things like RDX work, you guys,
Yeah.
uh, the Iron Lords podcast, especially those guys. I love that podcast, man.
Oh, they're
It goes a
great,
little
dude.
long, but I love that podcast. I love those guys here.
Those smiles, like Cog smile, dude,
Oh,
and laughter,
Cog,
and like King David just
King,
cracking
Sov,
jokes. They're all great.
Addict, all of them. They're just such good people too, man. So down to earth. I want to give a shout out to people in the chat. Got Psychonauts, Assassin Lupa, Lord Roughness, Mr. Joanna Dark, OCD Gamer, Blue Moon FC, Gaming Fire. Got Psychonauts in the house. I know he's one of your members on the show. Hargeet Shani is out there. My boy Hargeet. Miss K, thank you for stopping by. Great supporter. I love all these people that show up every week. It really means a lot to me. I really appreciate it. Gaz was in the chat earlier. I know he was just stopping by to say hi. Xbox Obi. Go ahead and check him out as well. He's got his own little YouTube channel going on there. And he says Mav is awesome. And you are awesome.
Obi's awesome too.
It's Timmy is here. Risk it for the biscuit. I just had to name a lot of you that I see here every week, and I really appreciate you. And Assassin Lupa says you guys are like family over there, and I agree. That's what it should be like, with a bunch of good close friends. So let me let's get into these topics now, okay? Enough about you, Mav. Okay, enough. All right.
Yes.
No, I'm just kidding. But no, I really like to hear people's backstories. Really cool stuff there, and I'm glad that you guys have added 31 members now to your panel.
Yes.
No, seriously, 8 is enough. You should run
I
with
like
that.
that though. 8 is enough. We should do that. That you may have just trademarked something for us, Fonz. So
All right.
we'll go with that.
So, first off, I just want to say, hey kids, you need to get your parents' wallets because I'm about to sell you a web link to a JPEG. We're going to talk about NFTs.
Oh boy.
NFTs are making the news again, and it seems like we can't get rid of these NFTs or the talk of NFTs in the gaming space. I have a feeling they're going to be here like the plague, man. Like they're going to be here like microtransactions, and much like microtransactions, I understand from a business sense, Mav, that these NFTs are very lucrative. The potential there is huge, but so are microtransactions, right?
Yeah,
it's huge, monetary benefit there for these companies. But also, like microtransactions, for us, the gamer, they can be not so good.
Yep.
And look, you've got guys like now apparently Square Enix's president, I think his name is Yosuke Matsuda. I hope I'm saying that right. Apparently he loves the idea of gamers buying NFTs in their games, and he has big plans for them, and that's a quote, big plans for them in future Square titles. He wants players to say, and this is a quote, play to contribute instead of having goodwill and volunteer spirit. For me, Mav, what that really means is he wants players to pay to contribute. What's your thoughts on all this stuff, man?
Oh, dude, first I had to take a long time because this was something I've been hearing about in the community for a while, doing shows and stuff. And I had to really wrap my head around what all this meant to begin with. And it started like last year, kind of really starting to learn about how this was going to be a wave,
Mm-hmm.
and it's now starting to be talked about like out in the open, right?
Yep.
So I've had some time to start to think about this and really process it. I find it I understand it I find it very different than microtransactions personally. Because microtransactions are I found a place within certain games, like especially like free to play. It's created its own model, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where a game can thrive and last years off of microtransactions and paid for content. That is, people find value, people don't. They can choose to buy, they can choose not to, right? And
Yeah.
I think for gaming, it's found a decent place with microtransactions for some games. If some games they still try and like Ultimate Team and Madden and all that kind of stuff, they kind of go too far sometimes, right? But NFTs is a little more scary for me, just because how is it going to transform the games that we play? And that's what we don't
Well,
know right now. It's really
and that's a good point. And
early
and,
to
and
say.
I want to piggyback off something you said. You basically were saying that, with microtransactions, it's very different. But it's kind of not in the way that microtransactions have shaped games and the way they're
Right.
made.
Yes.
They have.
Yes. They
So,
have.
and it's
What I'm
possible this could do the same thing.
Yeah, and I think it will because I don't know unless it becomes overly saturated and overly popular, there's a way that it will that might be what kills it because that might devalue it enough to make it not worth it in the end. I
Yeah.
don't know exactly how they're going to implement it because I saw a tweet just now. I can't remember who tweeted it, but they were made a good point that a lot of the implementation for these NFTs are in online games, right?
Yep.
Online games at some point the servers get shut down.
True.
So
True.
what are they gonna do with these assets that you earn that are
Oh my
real
God.
world value in a game like 8 years from now, you have this rare NFT item that's
And,
worth $10,000,
and
It
yeah, that's true. And it's not even, earn necessarily. It's what you buy within these
Right.
games. Where does it go? I mean, what happens? I mean, it's a lot like what these people are doing when they're buying JPEGs or
Yeah.
little video clips or whatnot on the internet. And it's like, to me, it's all these non-fungible tokens are bragging rights. Hey, I
Yeah.
own this. I own this piece of digital art. It's like, okay, good for you, but I don't see the point really. I understand, like within the gaming space, them trying to say, hey, you can buy your way or your likeness into a game,
Yeah.
into a character model for the game. I kind of see that and go, okay, on one hand, it's kind of cool for some people, but on the other, it's like, it's kind of slimy, man. Like,
Yeah.
I really don't like the business of the whole NFT thing. I don't. I think it's weird. I don't
It is
understand it.
strange.
Yeah, it's
I
really weird.
I think it's a way of applying value to something just for the
Yeah.
sake of it. And it's a way of trading funds and money, and I think gaming and media and art is being used as a tool, as
Yep.
opposed to actually being the value in and of itself.
Colt
And
Eastwood, he says here, he says, I'm sorry, he says, this is just something we don't need to get popular. It can change what we love. And I
yeah,
agree with him 100%. Now,
yeah.
continue.
So people got to realize, okay, the more popular these NFTs get, the more rare the more wanted they are, the more value they have, right? And at that point, who is really winning? Is it the gamer who's got that NFT and gets to sell it for 10,000 or whatever, right? Or is it the company that created it that gets
Yeah.
is in that gets a cut of every single trade or sale of that item after the fact, right? And that's where the value comes in for the companies. So it's not you got to really think who's this benefiting, and they'll what they're going to do is they're going to pitch it as like you get to own your own content, you get to own your own things, you get to resell your own stuff, you get to do all this. But the bottom line basis is it's only extremely uh profitable and opportunistic for the creator of it to
Yes.
begin with, right? And that is the
100%.
publishers who are already filthy rich, right?
Facts.
And
Speak
they
on it,
don't
Mav.
need to be flooding the market with these NFTs that are going to get kids and also young adults and stuff acting like this is the next wave of um, asset management. I don't know, dude. It's just really
Yeah,
strange,
and
man. I don't
and
really.
part of me is like, what if I don't want to see your dumb face in my game? What if I don't want to see you in my game? Like,
Yeah,
honestly, like, what if it's a famous person? I just don't like that famous person. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to have anything associated with that famous person. And he's got a stupid face in my game because, hey, I paid for it. I bought that
yeah.
right to be in that game. It's dumb. And I know that is a very minor thing, but I'm just saying, like,
It's almost like this has come to fruition of, you remember when 360 had their big E3 promo and they were like
yeah.
showing you could create your own skateboard and sell it for real money. You remember that back in the day?
Ah, you're
It was
right.
it's just like, actually they figured out a way to make this happen. The crazy thing is
Yeah.
according to like what Phil Spencer and all these guys are saying, they're like, they don't really see the value of it for the gamers and in the community. And if
No,
Microsoft is even saying that at this point, a
it's a bad
trillion-dollar
deal.
company, you got to think like, are they? What's behind this? What's driving this motivation? And it's money. It's purely just money. It's nothing beneficial for the
Yep.
gamer in and of itself.
Yep.
I can make an argument in some cases for microtransactions to be beneficial to a gamer, right? I cannot personally make an argument at all for NFTs to add value to games.
That's true, man. Risk it for the biscuit. Thank you, brother. He says, when you look at Destiny and vaulting, the vaulting situation over there, you've got to be very wary about NFTs and ownership and the ownership aspect. Access isn't controlled. He's 100% right. Destiny is vaulting so much. I don't know if you followed, but basically, if you play into Destiny now, there is big chunks of story content going away,
Yeah.
being vaulted, that if you were just getting started, you're going to be confused on what you're playing. Like,
Yeah.
if you're down there for the story anyway, it's crazy. Like, and to think that NFTs can be implemented there and then vaulted later, that's insane. You paid for nothing. You're a clown.
Yeah,
at
you know,
that
just
point.
like that's like just Ultimate Team. That's one of the things like about those some of these games like Ultimate Team and like with the that's why I'm kind of against how they do their microtransactions and stuff. Is because
Yeah,
people they have a pay to win formula with their game, and then at the end of the year, everything that you've poured potentially thousands of dollars into, which a lot of people have, is actually worthless, completely
yeah,
worthless.
yeah. Shout out to Neo GameSpark in the chat. What's up, my brother? Glad to have you here in the chat, checking the show out. I appreciate you, man. Thank you. Colt as well, man. Good friends. Well, let's go into another topic because I'm kind of done talking about this
Yeah.
whole NFT thing. Whether or not you like it,
Mhm.
I get it, but to me, it's
The
just
only
not a
people
good
that
deal.
like it are like financial investment type people.
Yeah, but I've seen some gamers argue for it. Well, maybe I want my face in the game, and I'm like,
They
man,
can do that. You can do that in 2K right now without an
yeah,
NFT.
exactly. You don't have to pay for it.
Yep.
Especially like auctioning something like that off is really slimy. Just
They've been doing faces in games since the 360 era.
yeah, you don't need to make it an NFT.
No.
All right, so let's get into this. So GoldenEye 007, if you know the game from the N64, it's
Yep.
being teased for release this year on the Xbox. You played it, right?
Oh
I'm
yeah,
sure you have.
I had a 64, played the crap out of that. Golden Gun. Um,
I loved the
eh,
game, man. I thought it was
it was
amazing back in
so
the
great.
day. But the
That was
controller
like
scheme, remember the controller scheme?
it was weird.
Oh, it was really weird with the one stick. But here's a fun fact. I don't know if many of you know this. You could have hooked up two controllers and played with the thumbsticks at the same time. And it
Yeah.
would act like a regular joystick
Really?
with two analog sticks. Yeah. Not a lot of people knew that. But it was weird to control it like that,
Well,
to
that
say the
controller
least.
was really weird in the first place,
Yeah, it
right?
was.
It's like
But
it had the
it's
thing sticking down the bin. I still love it, but it was strange.
how do you feel about it coming to Xbox and not Nintendo?
Strange, man.
It's weird, right? I mean, even though Rare's with Microsoft, it's still a little weird to process.
No, I remember seeing the leak, but I don't remember. There wasn't an official announcement yet,
Not an
right?
official, but they've shown leaks where they've shown achievements and all of
Right.
that.
So I
Yeah,
wonder if it's
so
still possible. It still could come to Nintendo because there's nothing to leak
it's
achievement wise
possible.
for Nintendo, right? So I won't rule that off the table yet. However, man, it's just something that I think was rumored to have been in the works a long time ago, but they couldn't get the licensing done,
Yeah.
so it got shelved. I just want to know how much work they're going to put into it to bring it kind of remastered into current standards for gameplay because
Yeah,
um
yeah. You know what? But like I said, when you had two controls, it felt like,
yeah.
just like having a dual analog joystick
Mhm.
today. So, I mean, but you do have to bring it up in terms of some of the mechanics and the graphics and stuff like that. You'd want them to make it look better,
Yeah,
polish it
but,
up a bit.
it still plays well, but like it plays well for a how old is it now? Like
Yeah,
25 years old, 26 years old, something like that. Um, it was a great game. Absolutely
it
loved it.
was. It was.
It was Halo CE back on the 64. Yeah, but that's how
Yeah.
much we played it. Like multiplayer. Always we're having the 4-player split screen.
To me,
Uh,
it's like that nostalgia factor for me.
yeah.
Like it always brings me back to that, thinking about playing with others and stuff. But honestly, the first thing that jumped in my mind when I heard about this possibly coming, well, it is. It's coming this year. You know
Yeah.
it is. But this is the first thing. I don't know if you saw the video of the dad that was getting beat at Call of Duty from his by his son,
No, I
and so
didn't
he
see that.
turned on the N64 and turned this game on. I'm going to show it right now because
Whoa, player. Whoa, player. This is your ass, player. This is your ass, player. You don't know nothing about this, player. Oh, shit! Damn! Whoa! Been a long time. Oh, watch it. Here we go, watch it. Blah! Damn right, player! Damn right, player! Come on, we'll watch your ass! Woo! GoldenEye. Woo! Yeah! No, pick this up. What you doing, player? Oh, player, pick this up, player. I'm gonna bust that ass, boy! I'm gonna bust that ass, player! No, this is wet, player! Pick up the remote control! Yeah! Woo!
I love that clip.
Oh man.
I love it, dude. Now,
That's great.
that's a guy that's that nostalgia factor, man. And as
Yeah.
soon as I heard it, I thought of that video right away because that guy's hilarious. He's just like sitting there going, "No, I'm going to bust your ass in this game. Let's go," And the kid just puts the controller down and walks away. Like
He's like,
just,
"What is this?"
yeah, look at the graphics. He's like, "Look at the graphics." He's all, "No, you just don't know." And it was like that, man. That game was just so good back in the day.
Mhm. It
I'm
was
glad.
great.
Yeah, I'm glad the chat enjoyed that. It's just it's the nostalgic factor. We're going to be getting that, I'm sure, sometime this year. And when it does come out, I'm definitely going to pick it up and play. I know you will too, because
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I mean that's something if it's rare, I'll probably be in Game Pass, I would assume.
yeah,
That's dude, I can't wait to play that and see if the old skills come back cuz that's one game I was actually pretty good at back in the day.
really, that's
Yeah.
cool.
But then you only have a small sample size to judge yourself against. And
Yeah,
that was just friends. You didn't get to go online and really face the real competition. So I don't know.
and
Um,
yeah, so that's coming out, and I'm going to get through some of these topics pretty quick. Oculus 2 sales apparently boomed this Christmas. Many are speculating it's because of the lack of PS5 and Xbox Series consoles being available, of course. One of the dev teams that have a game out there on Oculus, I think the game is Gorilla Tag or something. He
mhm.
says that they saw a boom of over 344,000 users Christmas Day.
Wow,
So
that's
apparently
crazy.
Oculus is selling great. And
Yeah.
what do you think about that? Do you think that this could be like an a step up for the VR game? Maybe it gets out of that niche realm soon.
Well, we actually are one of the people that got one for Christmas. We got one for my daughter
Uh-oh.
for Christmas because she was always when she's at her friend's house. Her friend had one, and they would play Beat Saber on it all the time.
Yeah.
And I was never like, okay. I had a Rift when it first came out, and I had to like set up the stands, and hook up the wires to like the PC and all that stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
um and I got real sick when I was playing it all the time. I just didn't have a great
Me
experience with
too.
it. So I was kind of like, VR's not for me, right?
Yep.
We got one for her for Christmas. It was her big gift this year. She was extremely excited. And trying it out, man, I have to say, you know, I think it's come such a long way, and with the quality, and without being tethered to anything. Uh, Plus, you still get a decent quality on the screen. I think it's a game changer.
Well, tell me
So I
about
think it's adding into the ease of access.
tell me
for it.
about the motion sickness. Are you still getting that or no? Not with this.
I haven't really played like any of the types of games I was trying to play back then.
Oh, okay.
But what I've been doing is exploring more of like the social apps and stuff like that.
Okay.
Somebody had told me about one called Big Screen
Yeah.
VR. So I think it was Keasante. I saw him talking about it,
Oh, shout
and
out to him.
yep, and he was talking about the best way to watch Battle Angel, um, and Elita Battle Angel, and he said 3D in the Oculus Quest 2 is absolutely amazing. So I was like, okay, so how do I do that? So somebody told me to check out Big Screen VR. So I was looking at, I just started watching like the movie trailers for the 3D movies in there in this thing. So it's like you're sitting in an actual theater, right? You can pick up popcorn, you can pick up a drink, you can
Oh,
look
that's
around.
funny.
There's people sitting behind you. You know, you can like wave and say hi. You
That's
know, and then
hilarious.
you got this big screen in front of you, and you sit there and you can watch a 3D movie like you've never seen it before.
That's crazy.
That's
That's
what's
crazy.
doing it for me, right?
Yeah, one of the applications I would love to use in a VR, honestly, outside of gaming, would be because I do think that there is VR. There is a space for VR in the gaming
Mhm.
space. Like there's a cool evolution to gaming within VR, and I think that it could be really huge one day. I think when they perfect this thing and they're able to get it on everybody's heads, including mine. I get motion sickness even in some first person games regularly, aside from VR. So, for me, it's kind of tough, but I hope one day they can rectify that because there's things like I would like to do anyways, like traveling the world through VR,
Yeah.
like going to see certain sites and, big famous spots and stuff. Like that sort of stuff I think could be really cool. And for an old guy like me that just wants to sit on the couch and visit somewhere, outside of this
Mhm.
United States. So I can see stuff like that, that I'd like to do. And I could probably handle that on a VR, to be honest. Who
Yeah.
knows? But yeah, I think it could be something. I don't want to make this a huge discussion because again, we want to get into some other things, but yeah, man, I'm glad that you were enjoying it. Is your daughter enjoying it though?
Yeah, she really likes it.
That's good.
She
That's
loves
good.
it. She likes doing like the apps where she can be like an anime character and walk around
Mm,
and like with her friends and stuff like that,
that's cool.
So she really likes that. I just think the ease of the barrier for entry is lower now, right? Because you
Yeah,
can get it
no, it's
for
true.
it's like $300 and there's some lots of free stuff in there to do as well. So you can just get it, you charge it, you plug it in, put it on, and you're pretty much good to go, right?
That's awesome.
Which is way easier than it was before. So I think that that's where we're seeing the growth, and I think it's only going to get better in that regard because you're going to see
Yeah,
um over time the technology get better. You're going to get like lighter weight headsets, you're going to get smaller headsets, and
better
better
resolutions, all that.
resolutions, all
Yeah,
that. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Risk It for the Biscuit says, "I'd love to see Xbox do VR, Bethesda VR, fire." Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if Microsoft really wants to get into it right now because of the niche market. But who knows? If Oculus keeps blowing up like this, they may, adapt, a third party or something or something maybe like that. Who
Well, here's
knows?
the thing. VR isn't big enough to drive the success of a console yet,
Yeah, not yet.
right? So eventually when VR becomes like a must-have on the system, which is right now it's not. Like people it's kind of like a niche thing. You
Oh yeah.
enjoy VR or you don't really care about it. When it becomes a mainstay and an expectation, they'll do it. But at that point, the technology is going to be so great, you're probably just going to grab like a something, just slap it on your head, you're good to go. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? It's
yeah.
going to connect automatically to the Xbox. So once it gets to that point, I think they're going to go all in on it. But
I
I think that's
definitely
ways off.
Yeah, I definitely think that it has a place in the future of gaming, and that's basically the main topic of the show today. And I know we're getting to it pretty late here, but we'll have to go a little bit over the hour mark, unfortunately,
That's fine.
or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, Mav, or the audience. But yeah, so
I'm used to long shows, Fonz.
That's well, we're not going to go that long. I assure you.
Okay.
I hate to go too long. Anyways, but yeah, it is all a part of the future of gaming. That's how I feel anyway. But I can't even use it right now. I got to get over this whole motion sickness and everything.
Yeah.
But I did hear Cognito told me, he let me know that, with the advancements of these units now, that they are getting better for people that do have motion sickness. So who knows? Maybe one day I'll be able to do that. And real quick, before we get into more of this conversation here, I just want to say that if everybody could please hit that like button and share this out if you can after the fact or now, whatever. I would appreciate it because I do want to grow this podcast. And also, I want to let everybody out there know that if you're a PS Plus subscriber, check your email because apparently Sony is just randomly giving extensions to their PS Plus accounts. So for January. So if you have not, paid for PS Plus this January yet or whatever, check your email account, see if you've got something there. There might be an extension. So anyways, let's talk more about the future of gaming and especially 2022, Mav. 2022 is looking fantastic for gaming. Is there anything I shouldn't say, is there anything coming in 2022? That's a dumb question because what are the games you're looking most forward to? That is the question because there's way more than one.
Oh, there's a crap ton, man.
Yeah.
Starfield is number 1 right now.
Oh, for me too. Starfield's number 1.
I'm really looking forward to Redfall to see what that is because Arcane's coming off of Deathloop, right? And this is going to be a co-op open world type situation here. And that's something my wife's excited to play. So that's what has me more excited to play with friends, right? So Starfield, Redfall, as far as on PlayStation, I know a lot of people are saying, hey, this game's not looking great right now. But I'm actually, I am yearning for the nostalgia, like we talked about nostalgia. I'm yearning for Gran Turismo to be good.
Really?
I really want it to be good.
Oh, I don't want it to be bad. But I haven't yearned for a racing game in many, many years. I just don't care for them all that much. Like I dabble in them, but I'm not a big racer. So that's why I love Game Pass with Xbox because their Forzas just go right in there and I can try them out for, 10, 20 minutes and then move on,
Yeah.
So I don't know.
It'd be really interesting to see because I think Forza Motorsport's going to come out this year as well, towards the end of the year.
Yeah, and all signs point to yes.
If we get a year where Gran Turismo and Forza Motorsport comes out the same year, it's just interesting. Man. It's really fun, man.
It's interesting, yeah.
Forza's been killing Gran Turismo for a decade or more. So it'll be. I just hope Gran Turismo is at least good enough to have some kind of conversation now about like, hey, is there something Forza could take from Gran Turismo? Or is there something Gran Turismo could take from Forza? But Gran Turismo's been such non-existent, really, in the marketplace for so long that it's like just an afterthought. And I wanted it to come back strong. I really do.
I wish they would stop using their those camera tricks and everything when they're showing their game and they're like basically showing you the replays and the real time photo realistic replays that they've had forever. They keep showing that all the time, and they're like people are like showing it off as if it's gameplay, and it's like no. Yeah. They've always had those fancy photorealistic graphics in their replays, and that's a different animal altogether than the gameplay.
For sure, man. But it's what I always liked about it was more of like the grind of the progression of earning vehicles and stuff was like more of like a
and the
I had to earn it, you know what I mean, as opposed to like sometimes with Forza it's like you're playing and it's like a slot machines are going off constantly. They're throwing cars at you left and right. So within like 20 minutes you got everything, and I don't really feel like I had to work for it. Something
Gotcha.
I feel like there's something back with those older Gran Turismo games that really gave me that grind aspect, that gave me a sense of pride and ownership over what I had done, that I don't feel like Forza is achieving in the motorsport games. They achieve it in Horizon with the pure collection aspect. You want to get every car, right? But with like Forza Motorsport, it's like I feel like I want to progress and earn this career path.
So
and they've
basically,
gotten away from that.
what you're saying is, you were stuck in a '93 Honda Civic for quite some time back in the PS2 days, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
Back
that's
then,
what
you
I
remember
did too.
that? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
you
I
were
remember
forced to
that.
buy a used car that was crap. You know how they had like $5,000 or something, and the first
Yep,
thing you could do is change the muffler or change the
exactly,
exhaust, right? And
exactly.
that got you that extra little bit of
And
horsepower,
and you
but it
thought
was
you were
just
Fast
enough.
and Furious. Yeah, you thought you
Yes,
were Fast and Furious. Here we go. That's why I bought the racing wheel setup and everything for Gran Turismo 2 back in the day, because
dude.
I wanted my Honda Civic to be lifelike and real and
Yeah.
fast. And yeah, no.
And so how many races did you put in with that crappy car, though? A
A
lot,
lot.
right? And so by the time you're able to upgrade to your next car, it was a
Yep.
big decision because you finally got enough money. You can finally move on to something better. And you're sitting
Yeah.
there and you're shopping. Like you got all these used cars to go through. You got the new cars. What do you get? And that decision, you were stuck with it, right? And I kind of like that aspect of it, as opposed to a lot of times the games now just throw everything at you like right away.
Yeah,
Something clicked with me with
Lord
that.
Roughness, he believes in what you're saying. He says, real talk, in Forza, you can buy $1 million car within hours of starting it. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that. It's just a personal taste. Like Forza Motorsport is by far the better game right now. I mean, like physics wise, graphics wise,
Oh,
everything.
and it's totally next gen, this one. So
Yes.
it's definitely not going to be held back by the Ouya or anything else, or even the Xbox One,
Mhm.
to be real. It's next gen, and they've got that new. I think it's a new engine too, right? Or
Yeah. So this is going to
yeah,
be the Forza Tech engine that they've been working on. This is why it's been so long between Forza Motorsport games, because they skipped
yeah,
a cycle, right? Because they're supposed to be normally Forza Motorsport, Forza Horizon, Forza Motorsport, Forza
yeah. Every
Horizon.
other year.
And we've gotten used to that every 2 years release for Forza Motorsport since the very first one.
Yeah.
So this has been like 4 or 5 years, I think, since we've gotten a Forza Motorsport. So I am expecting huge strides from Forza Motorsport. But what I expect it to be is used as more of a platform as opposed to just an individual standalone game. Because it's gonna
Right.
live in Game Pass. So I'm thinking it's gonna be something that we always have access to. If you have Game Pass, you're gonna have, and it's gonna update over time with new cars and new tracks and updates with graphics and stuff like that. Kind of like how they're handling Flight Sim, right?
Okay, gotcha.
I
Now,
kind of feel like that.
so you mentioned Forza, you mentioned Starfield. Are you looking forward to Stalker 2? Stalker 2 is one that I'm really looking forward to in April.
Yeah, yeah. Soccer 2. Man, there's like so many. I made a video just recently, like about 2022 games, and it's absolutely insane how many games are coming out. Stalker
Yep.
2 definitely for sure looks insane right now.
Yeah, and then you can't forget we got God of War, Ragnarok. We've
Yeah,
got
Horizon Forbidden
Forza,
West.
yeah, Horizon for Forbidden West, and that. How do you think that game's going to do? I think it's going to sell a lot.
Which one, Horizon or
Horizon.
yeah,
I
I
think it's
think it
going
will
to do
too.
so well.
It's the thing about sequels. The second one also tends to sometimes like explode if the first one was a new IP and had some success and people really liked it.
Yeah.
The second one has, because of the talk and the hype and the buzz around the first game, even if it didn't sell as much, generates those sales for the second, right?
Well, it's
So I
it's
think,
honestly like the PlayStation 5's biggest game, like
yeah,
to date. Like nothing else really comes close to the caliber of something like that. That AAA Horizon game. I mean, that's the first one I think that is their biggest, honestly. Because if you look back this past year, what did we have? Ratchet and Clank, Demon Souls,
Returnal.
Returnal. You're not looking at those huge
Yeah,
blockbuster games until this comes out, really. And that's why I think it's going to do
yeah.
numbers, man.
It's going to be the biggest game on PS4 also.
That's true too. I forgot about that. You're
And
right.
so it will.
Yeah, it's still cross-gen. Isn't that
Yeah.
funny? How the turns
And
have tabled.
and then the turns of table. And 3 to 6 months later, it'll be a huge game on PC as well.
Oh,
Um,
here we go with the 6 month. You know what? I do think PlayStation in the future will have the games coming out on PC closer to day and date. I
yeah,
think 6 months is a good window for that, especially because that still gives you an incentive to pick up a PS5 if you are into that FOMO and you think you're going to miss out on something or get the story spoiled for you. Because let's face it, most of their games anyway are very heavily story based. So I get it. Like, I have to have a PS5 and an Xbox, because of all the exclusives on both consoles. I have to.
I think right now what they want to do is wait just long enough to where they have an excuse to bundle it with DLC, so they can sell additional content on console at the same time. So and it has to be like a decent, substantial amount of content. So I think that Horizon Forbidden West, like 6 months from now, or 6 months from release, could very much potentially come out with some kind of like director's cut edition or whatever, with just added content, and then that same content be released for PC at the same time for $70, which I think, because they've set the precedent. Other companies are setting that precedent now.
Yes,
with
Square Enix, by the way,
PC.
Forspoken, $70 on the PC, but we've already heard from the PC community that they're going to go the Jack Sparrow way.
We'll see.
If you catch my drift.
Yes. I with other companies set the precedent. They did it. They let that happen before when Activision announced the price for Call of Duty. Yeah. And the whole $70 games thing started. And mainstream games media was like, oh, it's okay. It's time to move on to $70 games and all this stuff and everything. Then all of a sudden you find out all of PlayStation's first party lineup is $70. Even so much that they hardlined it to the fact when they announced what's that Destruction All-Stars game? That was announced at $70 bucks. And people are like, what the heck is going on? Because at that point, it's just a company decision. Is no actual looking at what are we actually selling here. It's just hardlining next gen $70, and that's where they're charging that next gen tax, right? And it's crazy that the biggest publishers are the ones that took that dive first.
Yeah,
right?
it's the greediest publishers that do that.
Yeah, and ones that have a lot of them. Now,
it's not surprising, bro. It's not surprising.
It's not. The one thing I'll give PlayStation credit for is their games aren't microtransaction heavy, right? Whereas the other companies that dove headfirst into this, like Activision, are just thrive on microtransactions. Take-Two,
thrive. It's the companies that didn't need. Yeah, exactly. And I tell people that all the time. Guess what? This is something that opens the eyes of some PlayStation fans out there. Guess where they make most of their revenue, people? Microtransactions. That is where PlayStation makes the bulk of their money. And when people hear that, they're like, no, they sell games. They also sell a ton of microtransactions. Those little Timmy playing Fortnite and everything is what's selling those microtransactions and making the money for that company. So
you could make an argument that games should be cheaper than they were actually before, where the argument was made that they need to be more expensive because of inflation. You got to take into account the sales actually are going like this, right?
Digital.
The more people you have buying a product that takes nothing to produce except for the original creation, you're just printing copies.
Yeah.
Right? You're either printing copies or you're selling digital licenses. The more digital licenses you sell, the less value you actually need to get for each individual one because you're selling more to the masses.
See, where I would argue the point where it just needs to stay the same is that not only has, it gone more digital now and like people aren't really going into brick and mortar stores buying the actual games anymore. Like there's a ton of people doing it. I understand, but I think the majority of gamers now are digital only or mostly digital, I would say.
Well, the numbers show that too, Fonz, because Capcom even said like 80%, I think, of their sales that's original.
But here's the thing about that, though. The reason why I say it could kind of just even the plateau and say, hey, just keep games at $60 is because the cost of making these games have grown exponentially.
Yes.
They really have. So, I mean, if you talk a decade ago, a game might have costed, 50 to 100 million to make. And now you're looking at upwards of 500 million, for some of these games. Not all of them. Don't get me wrong. Most of these games are not costing hundreds of millions to make, but there are those occasional games that do that. I know Sony puts a lot of money into their production value in their games. Their story-based games and stuff are pretty huge. They're spending a lot of money on these games, but they're also making a ton on microtransactions. And also now with the NFTs coming into the game, there's another thing that could be making a ton of money there for them. I'm going to get to some of these super chats. Assassin Lupa, thank you. She says, great show, guys. Love the gaming chat at Fonzarelli Gaming at Fun Speculation. Thank you for keeping it real. Thank you, Lupa. I appreciate that. And of course, we have Gone Mad. Oh, with the 20. Thank you, Gone Mad. You didn't have to go that crazy, but I guess you've gone mad, right? What did you two gentlemen do on the first day of 2022? I spent most of the day underground at Mammoth Cave and Diamond Caverns, Kentucky. Then drove 6 hours home in the rain storm that turned into a snowstorm. Such a good time. Well, the first part sounded like it would be a good time, but driving in the storm, no. Yeah. No, not a good time for me. And of course, Ham Solo says 10-year projects like Halo going to be the norm soon. Well, I don't know if they'll be the norm for every game. That's hard to do. 10-year projects, think about that. So something like Destiny or Halo now going into that long span of just a continued story.
Yeah.
That's tough to do.
Yeah,
because you have to keep people engaged for that long. And how do you do it,
Well, that's the thing. If you invest this many years into creating something, it needs to live on for a long time, right? You can't make something that takes 7, 8, 9 years to make, which some of these games are taking now, and then have it, and people stop playing it like 6 months after release. You got to have something that has longevity that continues to sell for years. Yep. So one thing that Halo did really smartly was with the multiplayer, they switched to that free-to-play model that gives them ways of keep bringing in new players over time with that zero barrier to entry and still being able to sell content over time. That's where they found a way to make a microtransaction system work. Now, as far as this game, it's got some pricing issues, I'll say.
I was going to get into that. Yes.
They need to fix some of the pricing that they have for the microtransactions. Some of it's overpriced, but it's a balancing act. They got to figure out. They got to figure that out. But having this game come out and it takes like Halo, I think it's a 6-year development cycle on that one, and to have them say a 10-year plan and to be able to look forward to having this be the primary pillar of the franchise for 10 years, where they're going to add content to it, is a really cool thing. I think if done right, it's a good thing. Some people say, well, you just need to do a new game every 3 years, but it's, unless you don't want things to push forward with graphics and technology, it's really hard for these devs to do that now. But God of War Ragnarok got a lot of flack because it doesn't look a lot different than God of War.
Yeah, but
right?
But on the flip side, you get something like Destiny. It doesn't look a lot different from day one Destiny. You know what I'm saying?
No.
Like they kind of put their foot off the gas.
I think that was an Activision thing too, though.
Yeah, but even now, though, I mean, now that the Bungie is away from Activision, they're still like they got their foot off the gas when it comes to trying to really innovate in the game. Now they're taking away stuff more than they're implementing.
Yeah. I'm curious though, Fonz, what their Bungie's next thing is going to be.
The thing is, I've heard that they're going to make a single player type experience. Their next game, honestly, that's what I've
single
heard.
Player. Okay.
Yeah. So it's very different, but at the same time, like getting back to the Halo thing as well, I agree with you. The free-to-play business model is where you want those microtransactions. But you're right on the balancing act, because from my perspective, and I'm not a business major, I don't know much about this stuff, but when I look at the prices of some of this stuff, I'm like, don't you realize if you cut that in half, you will get more sales than you would at the price they are now? And so, I mean, the more sales to me would mean more money. But you'd think they know this, like, because some of that stuff is insanely priced.
Yeah. I wanted the Mr. Chief AI model, but I wasn't going to pay $20 for it.
$20 for an AI.
Yeah.
No, just no.
$10, I would have been like, okay, maybe like I'll think about it. You know what I mean? But like $20 is just a hard line, no. But they got
Microsoft, no.
Yeah,
no, Microsoft.
They got to figure that out. They're going to figure that out over time.
Yeah, they got to figure that out.
I think they're kind of trying to go too much with like what some of the competition's pricing model is right off the
Yeah.
bat, because like Fortnite has some insanely expensive things, but they also have some things that are cheaper, and
Yep.
but they give you a lot of stuff for free too. Same thing with Apex Legends. They give you a lot that you can earn for free, but they also have some overpriced stuff and things like that. But they've kind of like been testing, and working out on prices
Yeah,
and
but
stuff
I
over
think they've been
time.
doing it. I think they've been getting it right. Some
Yeah.
of these companies have been fine tuning what what they're charging and stuff, and they're getting it right. And my son plays a lot of those games, Apex,
Mhm.
Fortnite, all that stuff. And I'm proud of him because as a teenager, he sits there and I hear him telling his friends, "Don't buy this, don't buy that. That's ridiculous to buy those
Yeah.
microtransactions. They do nothing for you in the game. What are you doing?" And it's like, yeah, you get them. But at the same time, I understand that some people do want to buy certain things and support the developers for a free to play game. That's a great thing. Like that's awesome, right? You want to do that, fine. But for me, I just don't care. I don't care about a skin or whatever.
Yeah.
I just an AI skin for Master Chief, like who cares? But
Yeah.
other people do. And I get it, but I'll be that one guy that doesn't buy into it. But you just have to get that balancing act, that right balance of how much you charge for certain items. You just have to get it right.
And that's the benefit of it, is you just absolutely have the choice, and you can have just as much fun playing the game
Yep.
with or without buying anything. Now, there will be eventually something that I just can't pass up, right? Because that's happened in Fortnite when they started implementing some of these other things.
Yeah.
We were playing that quite a bit.
Well, what
There will be
irritates me,
things.
the thing that irritates me, Mav, is the single player games that implement microtransactions.
Yes.
You pay
Yes.
$60
Yeah.
for a game, and then they want you to spend $10, $20, whatever it is, on an XP boost.
Yeah.
Things like that are just so egregious. I can't stand
Mhm.
things like that. And people will buy them, and they'll
Yep.
play through the game with an XP boost. And like that, at that point, that is kind of a pay to win situation within a single player game. That's
Yep.
asinine. But
Yeah, I'll give Microsoft a little crap for this one. Is the map that they charge people for on Forza Horizon is
Yeah.
like, it's only like $2 or $3, and people just like, oh yeah, it's just $2 or $3. But I'm like, they could have just like had that as a feature in the game and not charge $2 or $3. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
But so it's these little things they get you with. You know what I mean? It's very interesting how they do it. But it's all depending on how much you want it and are you willing
Yep.
to pay. Right?
Risk It for the Biscuit says, if the gameplay is good, Fonz, and it's free to play, I'm of the mind that you should support them. Same as when there's a good content creator like Fonz or Mav. I appreciate that.
As he hits that with a $5 super chat.
Yeah,
That's
look
awesome.
at that, man. Yeah, he's getting me right in the gut. But
Yeah.
no, I'm telling you, like for me, look, I don't care. Look, I was duped by horse armor, damn it. Way back in the beginning, I bought that stupid horse armor and I was pissed. Like that was the first time I experienced anything like that. I think it was one of the first microtransactions ever. And I was like, oh, you can buy something in the game that's cool. And I bought it and it did nothing. And I was so mad. I was like, what did I just buy?
Yeah, that
this
was a
for?
huge controversy back then.
Yeah, I was
Um,
so livid, man. And ever since then, I had this just disdain for that type of thing. And then when the free to play stuff start coming out, I get it. I'm more relaxed on those microtransactions.
Yeah.
It's like I get it. You have to get paid somewhere, right? But
Mhm.
just you have to charge accordingly. You can't sell a Master Chief AI for $20. Let's get real. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Or
I
you
agree.
shouldn't. But anyways, let's get
everything's
past
relative.
this part. So this year we're gonna have some great games. We're all excited for so many things this year. I know the chat. Let me know what your most anticipated game of 2022 is and beyond. Let me know in the chat. Also, I just think that we need to discuss more of 2022 in the games right now, real quick.
Yeah.
Before we get out of here.
Yeah, we got a little sidetracked.
Yeah, we got sidetracked for sure. But you know what? It's a fun thing to talk about, or not fun, but it's something I like to talk about is microtransactions and all that stuff. And we
Yeah.
hit a lot of good points. We did. So I'm glad we see eye to eye on that, Mav. We really do. But
Yeah.
the games this year, We talked a little bit about, well, I'm interested in Stalker 2. I don't know if you said you were interested in that.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say like some of these games that look crazy impressive like that. I'm still kind of like up in the air. How good is it going to be? I got to get my hands on it and try it. But right now, it looks insane. It looks
Yeah.
absolutely insane. So I'm super excited to
That'll
try
be
it.
I think, is that the first Unreal Engine 5 game to hit the console? I think it is.
Is it really? Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
I
not
think
sure.
that'll
I
be the
know
first
that
one
they
because
had
that's in
those.
April. That's in
Right, I
April.
know they had the new style character models and all that kind of stuff. In
Yeah.
there, right? They're
So
showcasing.
I think it's the first one to be in the Unreal Engine 5 engine. And then I know Hellblade 2, they're working on that.
Mhm.
But that's not going to come out till probably 2023. That's what I think. I
I'm
think that'll
guessing
be out then.
2023 on that as well.
Yeah. Anything else from PlayStation you're looking forward to, by the way?
We talked about Gran Turismo, Horizon Forbidden West. I'm excited to play that. I couldn't get into the first one. I tried. I played quite a bit of it. It just didn't ever click with me. That happens sometimes with story based games, right?
Yeah.
Um, man, I'm trying to think what all's on the slate. They had
What's
those
your
three major games, right?
What's your favorite type of game?
My favorite type of game. Okay, I love
Your
well,
genre?
I love multiplayer games first off, with like Halo and stuff like that. But besides that, like if it's like a different type of game, I love a really good story.
Okay, so
Right?
you're looking forward to Pokemon Legends, right?
No,
No.
definitely not.
Dying
But
Light
I'm
2. What
really
about Dying
picky.
Light 2? Dying Light
I'm
2.
looking forward to Dying Light 2, man. Dying Light 2 should be great. The first one, man, like at night, you got stranded at night.
I can't do it, man. Motion sickness. Again, it strikes me
Yeah.
in games like that with parkour and fast action.
Right.
Oh, man. That and Mirror's Edge, I get sick right away.
Yeah.
What about Elden Ring? You into Souls? See,
So
I'm
Souls
not.
games, I've always kind of I've wanted to be into them. So I play every one that comes out and I try it. And then I don't have the patience or time that I
Yeah.
used to push through. Right. And I find
Gotcha.
it more of a frustration thing. And for the most part, it was because it was lacking the motivation from the story. There was no story.
Nice.
Right. So I remember playing a little bit of Sekiro, and I was like, okay, I can actually.
Oh,
I think this one's actually better because there's a little bit of story here. I'm hoping.
and the setting was cool.
Yeah.
Did you finish it?
No, I have
It
not
kicked
yet.
my
I
butt.
didn't play it until
Bro.
like after it got the boost. I think on
Okay, so
Series X. I just kind of tried it for a little bit.
I beat Bloodborne back in the day on the
Yeah.
PlayStation 4. Loved it. Loved it. It was hard, but I got through it. Never played a regular Souls game, so
Yeah.
I don't have any experience there. They don't interest me for some reason. And my sons
Mhm.
would play it. My adult sons now, they would play it back in the day, and I would just watch it, and I just had no interest. They just kept dying all the time, and I was like, nah, no, thank you.
What about
So-
Neo? Did you play Neo?
No. So then Sekiro came out, and I go,
Yeah.
okay, I liked Bloodborne, and Sekiro, I like the aesthetic. I like where, the setting, everything. So I jumped into that because I'm a Tenchu fan and stuff from back in the day.
Yeah.
It kicked my butt, man.
Yeah.
I tried to beat a boss 38 times, Mav. 38 times. And I before I broke my controller, I just set it down and I said, uninstall. Walked away.
Wow.
And I swore off from software from now on. Like, I'm just done. Until they announce a Bloodborne 2, and then I'm back. So
Yeah.
I just love Bloodborne. It was a fun game. I like the weapons, and I like the aesthetic of the game. Everything about it. It was just really cool. So
So one thing with
I
some
don't know.
games, I tend to like get drawn away from like very dark, oppressive feeling games, right?
yeah.
That's one thing like Bloodborne. Like I got pretty far into it, but I just got sick of it got to the point where I was like I didn't want to boot it up anymore because like okay, I'm gonna probably get frustrated and feel depressed when
Yeah.
when I turn this
Yeah.
game on. So certain games like The Last of Us doesn't click with me for that same reason.
Really?
Right?
I love that game. The first one.
But Uncharted is my favorite PlayStation franchise.
Uncharted's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
love
was The
Uncharted.
Last of Us, though. I'm surprised you didn't like that. Wow.
Dude, it's an amazing game, but I don't like the way it makes me feel when I play it.
Depressing.
I don't. Yeah, it's just like I don't know, man. It makes me feel depressed. Man,
like-
I get immersed into it, and I don't look
That's
forward to turning it back on.
okay. See,
Right?
I like feeling emotions in games, but I'm with you on The Last of Us 2. The Last of
Mhm.
Us 2 made me feel the way you felt about the first one. I
Yeah.
had no enjoyment whatsoever in The Last of Us 2. The gameplay was tight, really good, graphics amazing, story horrible, just horrible.
Yeah.
I hate it. And there is nothing satisfying within that story whatsoever, and it just makes you feel like an utter piece of crap playing that whole thing. I'm just
Yeah.
being real, bro, and,
Uh-huh.
and that's why I could not play it. Z Black
Mhm.
Rider said he's looking forward to Scorn. That's another game coming out this year that a
Yeah.
lot of people have. It was supposed to come out last year, by the way, in like
Yeah,
October,
it was.
and it never happened. Risk it for the biscuit. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you. He says, I played the Elden Ring tech test. You know what? I signed up for that. Even though I was from software, I said, hey, if I get in, I get in. I didn't get in. He said, I hate Souls, but it was really good. The co-op needs to be expanded a bit, but I loved it. Hot tip, Magic user. It's good.
So Elden Ring is going back to Elden Ring though. I think that's the one that could really get me into this because it's like open. And I think you're gonna have more ways of approaching things,
Yeah.
and also I feel like there's gonna be a story here that is going to motivate me
Okay.
to play through it.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. What about Bayonetta 3? You looking forward to that?
If it wasn't only on the Switch,
Gotcha. Makes a lot of sense. Suicide Squad.
absolutely, hands
See-
down, super excited for
Oh,
that.
man, I'm the only one that's not. I guess I'm
really?
the only one that's not. And that's because this is one of those games. Now, I know you can play it single player, but this
Yes.
is one of those games I think puts a heavy emphasis on co-op.
Right.
I think it wants you to be playing co-op.
So
And
I think
I'm not a big co-op guy.
I think the AI guys are potentially going to be with you.
Yeah, see, and I don't care for that too much unless you have full control over them. Like,
Right. Like Guardians.
back in the day, yeah. And back in the day, like Ghost Recon, the first one, you were able to move your guys where you wanted to. You can
Oh, yeah,
stop
yeah.
them where you
Mhm.
wanted them to stop and all that stuff.
I love that.
I like and I enjoy that type of gameplay. But if they're just running around with me, I don't care. It's like playing
Mhm.
co-op with somebody. And I'm not a big co-op guy. I've never been. So it's just whatever.
Yeah, like
But
Halo, I don't
the
care about
graphics
co-op
look
whatsoever.
great. The graphics look amazing on Suicide Squad.
Mhm. I think it's going to be good, man. If it's Rocksteady, right?
Yeah, I know.
They have
It's got to be good.
They have not failed me yet. That
I-
last what has concreted it for me is the last trailer that they had where they actually showed the gameplay. Because it looks like
Yeah.
Sunset Overdrive meets
Oh,
like
that's not a good
Suicide
analogy.
Squad on steroids.
Yeah,
It's
that-
kind of the vibe I'm getting from it.
Yeah, except you can run around on the ground without dying. Yeah, it's a bit different.
Right.
But Breath of the Wild 2, what about that?
I didn't finish Breath of the Wild 1. I want to be into Breath of the Wild 2. Again, the Switch kills pretty much almost every game for me.
Yeah, I know. I always say it. I have 2 Switches at the house. My son plays one all the time. He goes between that and Xbox. He loves his Series S, by the way. I gave it to him for Christmas. He loves that thing. He gets all those frame rates now, those high frame rates.
Yeah.
He loves it. But yeah, man, the Switch just Nintendo needs to make a decent traditional console, man, with some power. They
Yeah.
need that. I'm sorry.
It's
but
just so
at this point,
underpowered. It's like, I don't know, man. The only game I'm looking forward to from Nintendo this year is Triangle Strategy
yeah.
because it seems like a spiritual successor to Final Fantasy Tactics. And
Yeah.
you don't need like it can look like ass. I don't care, right? But it's like a game
It
like
could
a
look
Zelda
ass,
game.
yeah.
A Zelda game, I want it to look great, you know? And not that the art style doesn't look great. The art style looks great. But I just have this feeling when I'm playing it, if it was on something that was even as powerful as the Series S, what
Yeah.
could they have created?
Exactly. I
You
tell
know-
myself that all the time. Like Nintendo, you could have done wonders with a powerful console. Like they used to be the ones that innovated all the time back in the day.
Yeah.
They no
The 64,
longer
man.
are that company.
64 was cutting edge. People forget
It
about that.
was. And that's the funny thing, because when I tell people that, I had an N64 at the time, and I didn't get a PlayStation right away, and my whole thing was, well, before the PlayStation really took off, the N64 was the cutting edge console. It was the innovative console. The games on there looked and played phenomenally back in the day. I had no issue with the N64. I did. The controller. The controller was garbage. But what were you going to do about it? Anyways, that wraps up the show today, guys. I had a fun time talking with you, Mav. Seriously, always fun. And had a great time with the chat today. They were involved. That's what I love about the shows. I'm sure you do too on your shows.
Yeah.
The chat always getting involved in stuff is so awesome. 2022 is going to be a great year for gaming and beyond. It's going to be amazing. This generation, I really feel it's going to be just a fantastic one. Mav, let everybody know out there about your channel, your podcast, all that stuff. Let them know.
Yeah, thanks also again for asking me to be here, Fonz. It means a lot that you think of me enough to have me as a guest on your show.
Of course, man. Of course.
And you're right. The chat is absolutely amazing today. So if you guys don't know where to find me, check out on YouTube, Fun Speculation. Also, Twitter, Fun Speculation. YouTube, you can find all of our shows. We have multiple shows that we do live, and also I stream games a lot, right? So on Wednesdays, we have Fun Pop. We talk about movies and TV shows and some game stuff on there. Thursdays, we have PM in the PM, where me and Pong Sold deep dive into specific topics.
PM in the PM. What does that stand for? Huh?
Pong and Mav in the PM.
Nice.
Yeah.
I kind of knew
So that's
that,
on Thursday nights. And that's going really well. Pong and I like to have great conversations, kind of like Fonz and I were doing here right now. And then Friday nights, we got Xbox Ultimate Podcast with 8 is Enough.
8 is enough. There you go.
with 8 is Enough. We have an awesome panel full of amazing people on there. Our family. We have a blast on Friday nights. It kind of goes left a lot. I'll say that on Friday nights, which is fine. And then Saturdays is Fun Speculation Podcast, where we cover PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo, all of that stuff, and that's with Gaming Key and also Fuzzy Belvedere, two awesome guys in the community.
Oh,
as well.
he's awesome. Yeah.
He's an amazing guy. He was one of the first people to really start stumbling into my chats that was like an established YouTuber and streamer and stuff. And I remember
camera quality is excellent, man.
It is, dude. I don't know how he achieves all this.
I don't
man.
know.
Like,
I don't know.
He is super underrated. Like he doesn't have enough time because of his job to put out the kind of content that he wants to, which is his passion. But that guy is just such a genuinely great dude. And he just was like super supportive. When I had like 2 people watching a stream or a show or something early on, he'd be like, "Hey man, you got something going here, keep it up." And it just stumbled in, you know what I mean? Like a great guy. But now he's on one of our shows on Saturday, Fun Speculation Podcast. So check that out there as well. And all of them are available on audio as well. So Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and more.
Yeah, that's good to know. So is this podcast, guys. Thank you all for listening. I really appreciate you, chat, always coming out to watch the show or listen to it. If you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all that stuff. Again, like, I really appreciate you, Mav. Thank you for coming on. And the show ran long today. This is probably my longest episode, but that's because we were having a great time chatting about games. And that's what it's all about here. And I appreciate all of you. Until next time, guys, game on.